everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Monica, and this is my playthrough of Sweet Transit version 1.1. This is episode 9. Last time around, I made a whole bunch of changes to my rail routes, and I said I was going to give them a chance to run for a while and report back on how they did. I am pleased to report that on the whole, they did better than I expected. However, I still have to make some changes, some revisions, fix some things, and a few other things that I just want to do. So let's take a look. First things first. For all of my cargo routes, I have set the loading step to be a time passed of 20 seconds. It turns out this is not long enough. For whatever reason, if the time pass is set to 20 seconds, I end up with 1 unit of goods not loaded on each car on the train. So since I'm currently running trains with 12 cargo cars, I'm missing 12 units. I'm not quite sure why, but that is what is happening. So I'm going to step up the time passed on all of these routes to 21 seconds. The bread delivery route has another problem. I set my filter to load bread and to check the station cargo for Nicosia station. I did not set the filter to check the station cargo at Madrid station or at Vatican City station. As a result, this train is actually never coming to Madrid or Vatican City. So, we need those filters. That train should be headed on its way to Madrid right now, I hope. Next on the list, bricks delivery. Again, time passed has to be 21. And this filter is misset. Right now I'm checking for clay at Madrid station. And so that train is coming to Madrid station regardless of how many bricks are there currently. This needs to be bricks. Let me make sure I get the right one. Alright. Brickworks local, I didn't make any changes to before. Still no changes need to be made. Clay delivery, time passed. I had the thought it might be faster to try to use the slider, and in fact, it is not. Again, I'm playing on the Steam Deck. Playing on a PC, you probably have more control with a mouse. Clothing delivery. 21 seconds. There's another issue with the clothing delivery. All of my trains are doing a great job at waiting at their stations to make their deliveries. I don't actually have space at Nicosia station for this train to wait. So for Vatican City, I'm going to change this condition from 100 to 2000. That should never be satisfied, and so this train should always have to go to Vatican City. This is a temporary thing. Like I said, I intend to replace the station at Nicosia soon, and when I do that, I will have to remember to change this back. Coal delivery needs to be 21 seconds. Also, I need the filter for coal at Madrid station. This train is in fact never coming to Madrid station right now, because there are always enough other goods at the station. Cotton to Nicosia, I think this one is just changing you to 21. Fish delivery will be next. There it is. And you need to be 21. Madrid workers, I don't actually want to change the route. I do actually want to change the name. This is a little tiny thing that bugs me every time I look at it. There's an extra space in here. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Okay. That just, looks better. Manama workers. I talked last time about how you don't have the same controls available to control passenger routes that you have for cargo routes. And so I ended up setting all of these routes to have a time passed of 60 seconds at least one of their stops. And I realized I want to try something else. There are a couple of things I want to try. For this station, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add wait conditions for specific times. So we will have one for... This one has to be the slider, huh? Okay. We will make you 0, or 8, or 16. And we can remove this time passed condition. So my thinking is basically what I'm trying here is sort of enforcing the idea of the workers having 3 shifts. So the train will deliver workers 3 times a day. And so all of the workers have to arrive in one of those 3 groups. That is my thought about how controlling trains delivering workers could work. I don't actually know how well this will work in practice. I don't know that every 8 hours or 3 shifts is the right time interval. So I figured I should try it and just see what happens. Nicosia Workers to Industries. I wanted to do the same thing with this one, where it will wait until 0 or 8 or 16. and we don't need this time passed anymore. I'm a little bit concerned about fueling for this one, but this one seems to be okay so far. But fueling is definitely something for a lot of these routes that I need to keep an eye on. I don't know that I have it worked out everywhere. In fact, I know I don't have it worked out in some places for some routes. Potatoes delivery, we just need to change to 21 seconds. Oh, right now it's load until done, and I want it to be load for 21. And so I don't need the until done. Next up, sand. Just need to change it to 21. After sand, we have stone. Again, change U to 21. And then Vatican workers. So travelers, no changes. Vatican workers. I was thinking another way to potentially control the workers, again, with this 3 shifts idea. Let me come over to the sawmill station. Each sawmill has 40 workers. And so since I have 4 of them, that's 160 workers total, and then there are also 10 at the distribution center. So 170. So I was thinking another way to potentially control the timing of trains carrying workers is by using the for fully rusted passengers condition. Or, no, I probably need for rusted amount. And I'm going to set U to what should be 1/3 of the total workforce. So we'll say 60. And then sawmill station, I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted it to be based on passengers, but I think my options are rested at percentage. Okay. I haven't looked at these before. These are entirely misleading in what they're called. Fully rested passengers means percentage of rested passengers, or percentage of total capacity are rested passengers. Fully tired passengers is, again, percentage of total capacity is not rested passengers. Well, no, it's just a percentage of total capacity involving rested passengers again. So I wanted to wait until I had a certain number of tired passengers on this train, and I don't have that option either. So I think I'm going to leave you at time passed of 60 seconds. I want to make you shorter. Let's try 20. All right, I have tried it. I have no idea what those changes will do. Right now, this train is sitting in Vatican City Station, and there are no workers who want to get on this train at this time, so it may be sitting here for a while. Hopefully that means there are no tired workers at the various workplaces at the sawmill. 0, 31, okay, 40, 40, and 15. Alright, I don't understand when exactly workers head out to the various workplaces. I will hope the settings I have made work. We'll let it run for a while, see what happens. Definitely want to keep my problems open, so I will catch it if there are any issues. Anyway, on to wheat. This needs to be 21 seconds. Also, this train is one that I've observed that has refueling problems. And so I want to fix it. And one way to fix it is to add, or one step towards fixing it, is add another stop at the South Coal Mine Station. Because right now it only stops for more fuel when it's returning from Manama Station. If I put you here, then it will also stop for fuel on the way to South Coal Mine Station. And so I want to add the optional as usual. There we go. I want to add the optional as usual. And the weight condition on the optional is fuel greater than or equal to 25%. And in that case, it can just go straight to the unloading step. So making sure I have my order correct, we are loading a wheat farm station. If Manama Station has wheat, then we just keep waiting. And then when we start traveling, the first thing we do is we check to see what our fuel level is. And if it's greater than 25%, we proceed on to Manama Station. If it's less than 25%, we stop to refuel on the way. And then after we unload, on the way back, we check for a fuel level again. And if it's greater than 25%, we have enough. And if it's not, stop for fuel. The thing is, this is a long route. If I zoom out, we can see the entire map. I am starting here and coming all the way around to here. And the 2 places where I'm currently checking my fuel levels are here, and the place where I refuel is kind of in the middle. And these checks occur as the train is leaving these 2 stations. And so what that means is that even if the train is at 25% when it leaves from the wheat farm, it may not have enough fuel to get all the way to Manama Station and then back to the South Coal Mine Station to refuel. In fact, I've seen this happening. This is why I know this route has this problem. So one way to fix that would be to try to change the percentages. Another way to fix that is I'm going to add a couple of more destinations. It turns out I haven't really had a reason to do this up to this point, but you can set as destinations pieces of rail. So just to give myself a little bit of clearance, I'm going to select right here, and then I'm going to do a second similar selection on the other side right here. And so when the train visits these two pieces of rail, the action is just pass, I think, for rail. Okay, so it can either be pass or visit. If it's pass, it just goes through the rail and keeps going. If it is visit, it stops at the rail until it satisfies the condition. And the places I need these to be are here and here. So now what happens is the train loads wheat at Wheat Farm Station. If Manama Station has wheat, it just keeps waiting. Otherwise, it heads to this piece of rail. After it passes this piece of rail, then it does its check to see what its fuel level is. And then the rest of the route carries out. It delivers at Manama Station. It comes back as it passes the piece of rail on the way back. It checks its fuel level and decides whether or not to stop off at the station. And my hope is that because both of these points on the rail are closer to the refueling location, leaving the fuel at 25% will be the correct level. It's like when you're driving a car and you're deciding when to get gas on a long trip. As you approach each gas station, you make the decision about whether you have enough fuel and you can keep going, or whether you need to stop for gas at this station. And so by adding in these two destinations, which are just these pieces of rail, I'm making it behave more like that, and hopefully it will all work out better. And then that was wheat to Manama, and then the last one is wood to Madrid, and the only change I want to make here right now is changing you to 21 seconds. Alright, so there are a bunch of routes which weren't working properly before. Now they should work properly. We had problems with not actually fully loading on virtually all of my routes, but that should be fixed now. And this one route that I know of that has refueling problems, I've made some changes. I hope that will improve the refueling on that route. And I need to keep watching. Where do I now have not enough workers? Brickworks, okay. This was also on my list of things to do from when I was watching things earlier. Manama has 120 craftsmen. Right now, 119 of them are working. That must include workers who are actually traveling to the workplace. But I clearly don't have enough housing for craftspeople in Manama, so I will add some more craftspeople residences. And I will put them here and here and here. And that last one is out of range of the electricity, so we will add another pole over here. And as I was adding that pole, we unlocked something new. We have reached the population of craftspeople of 200, I believe, and so we've unlocked the cattle ranch and a couple of other things. So now we have two new things to build, the cattle ranch and the iron mine. My goal for today is to start building iron mines and start producing steel. I don't think we will get as far as building cattle ranches today, but you know, something to aim for. And other changes I wanted to make. When I was looking at extra spaces in names of things, South Coal Mine Station has the same problem. So let me take out this extra space. You're good. So there we go. Just clean that up a little bit. And then the last change that I wanted to make right now, related to the changes in the routes from last time out, is I want to remove this distribution center. At this point, I have this courier station, which is carrying 93 coal per minute to the coal plants. The coal plant is consuming 60 per minute at the moment. And so this courier station is doing all the work. I had been trying to use this distribution center to bring coal to the coal plant, and I've ended up concluding it's just not working the way I had intended it to work. And I think having the distribution center rather than the courier station just caused confusion that I don't need. And so I'm going to remove this distribution center because the courier station should cover it. Alright, so those were the things I observed while I was watching the trains on their various new routes after the changes that I made to the routes last time. And so now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is one of the things that I've talked about with the way that I've been changing these routes is that I have trains waiting to deliver cargo everywhere. And I've said that if the train isn't waiting, that's a sign that demand is so high that I need to have multiple trains on that route. And thinking through that causes a potential problem, which is that if I have multiple trains on the same route and they can all wait at the same place, do I have space for the trains to wait? And already with the clothing route coming from Nicosia, I have that problem. I don't have space for trains to wait at Nicosia right now. But I'm going to be redesigning that station soon to fix that problem. But it's a more general problem. What will I do? And they've actually had a couple of related questions. Another question just from the route redesign that I've done this time around is that at this point, all of my trains are getting fuel from one of three places. They're getting it from the coal mine station, and since I'm delivering coal from the coal mine station to Madrid station, they can also get coal from Madrid station. And then the third option is they can get coal from the South coal mine station. And the question is, are those three stations really in the right places for trains to be getting fuel? And should I maybe have a separate dedicated refueling area somewhere? Another related question that I got on an earlier episode was whether I considered a hub and spoke design for my train deliveries. And the question there becomes, all right, where would you put the hub? And there's actually one more related question, again, from a previous video. A commenter asked if I plan on moving the warehouse. So I placed my warehouse right here at the beginning of the game, in close proximity to Madrid. You only have one warehouse, but you can move it. Basically, at any time you can build a new warehouse once you have the necessary materials to build a warehouse, which I can probably find. Where would the warehouse be? You're the depot. You're the warehouse. Yeah, once you start producing cut stone, you can build a new warehouse. And so the way this works is you build the new warehouse wherever you want it to be. You set up your train routes to deliver all of the goods to that new warehouse, and then when you're ready, you activate that as your actual functioning warehouse, and that deactivates your old warehouse. So the question is, do I want to do that? And if I were to move the warehouse, I would want to move it to someplace where there's a lot of space both for the warehouse itself to expand and also to be able to put a large train station nearby. So all of these things, having a holding area for trains which are waiting, having a refueling area, having a hub, and having a new station for the warehouse, all really want large stations. And so I've been holding off on considering any of those until I can actually build larger stations. Right now, the largest stations that I can build are small stations. But because I'm going to be producing steel soon, that puts me on the unlock path to be able to build actual larger train stations. Stations which can have more platforms and also stations which can have still longer platforms than the ones that we now have everywhere. So my thinking is that once I can build larger stations, I can revisit this question of, do I want to build a large station somewhere for some purpose of just having lots of trains there? It's definitely something that I'm thinking about, but it's not something that I want to do now if I can avoid it. Alright, now we have two places with efficiency below 100%, the coal plants, and I'm sure the other one is the brickworks, both of them because they have tired workers. And I don't know, do I need still more workers in Manama? These numbers look okay. Maybe it's a question of the workers just haven't been delivered yet. Is this the train that I want? This is the train that I want. Yes, so this train is carrying 95 workers who are headed to the brickworks. So that should take care of that. And you're the only one complaining about efficiency being below 100% at this point. So the coal plant must have been waiting for fresh workers, but it has gotten them. So that seems to be taken care of. All of these things you just have to watch continuously, because even if it works right now, that's no guarantee that it will continue to work in the future. So assuming everything is still good, the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to come over here to Vatican City to do it, is in both of the previous two episodes, I have rotated buildings. And there's a little bit more to say about that, and so I thought now is a good time to say it. So I have been rotating the small stations so that the station itself faces in the correct direction, or at least the direction that I want it to face relative to the platform. You can do that with basically every building that you place in the game. Not all of them have particularly distinct positions for the building to be in. If you have a building with a square footprint like the station, it rotates by 90 degrees each time you turn it. If you have a building with a rectangular footprint like this house of worship, the footprint is 3 by 2. When you rotate this, it rotates by 180 degrees. So when you rotate the building after you've placed it, it keeps the same footprint, and so it has to rotate by 180 degrees rather than by 90 degrees. But another thing you can do with these buildings after you've placed them, and I say buildings, it's really everything that you build from the build tray down here, is many of the things that you build have variations. They can appear several different ways. An example of that is just all of the platforms at the station. Some of the platforms have benches, some of them have just cargo, some of them just have a light and nothing else. If you look at the platforms that have benches, you can see that there are several different configurations for the benches. It turns out you can control all of this after the fact if you select a particular platform. And then on the Steam Deck, if you press the A button, it cycles through the options for the different kind of station platforms that you can have. And on the Steam Deck, it's the A button. I'm playing on the Steam Deck. I think on PC, it would be the R key, but I'm not certain. And there's no way for me to check while playing on the Steam Deck. If I had a keyboard plugged into the Steam Deck or paired to the Steam Deck, I could use that keyboard, but I do not currently, so I don't have any way to check, and the game won't tell you what the keyboard controls are if you're playing on the Steam Deck version. But you can change the appearance of the station platforms. There are, I think it was 5 different variations that I just cycled through. It turns out that is true for many of the things that you can build, and so I wanted to show some of that. We'll come back to the House of Worship. I could rotate the House of Worship by 180 degrees. I can also select the variation, which is a mirror image. Many buildings, not all, but many buildings have a mirror image form. And so, depending on your layout, it may be more appropriate to use the mirror image rather than the original version. Let's take a look at this market. If you look at the layout of this market, I really want this covered building to be facing towards the streets, and right now it's sort of facing away from the streets. And so I can rotate the market, and now this building feels like it's facing more in the correct direction for me. I don't believe there are any variations to the market, no. Buildings that we have lots of choices about are the residences. We'll look at this residence. We can cycle through all the different building appearances until we find one that we like. There are obviously a range of choices. One thing that I've thought about doing is making distinct neighborhoods in each settlement where all of the buildings in each neighborhood have the same building design, or taking things a step further and setting things up so that all of the buildings in each settlement are the same and there are differences from one settlement to the next. And you can also rotate the buildings around. So I like how this building is positioned right now. This one right next to it, I feel kind of like the back of the building is facing towards the street, and I would really like the front of the building to face towards the street instead. And so we will rotate it around. But you'll notice as I rotate this building by pressing right on the D-pad, it does rotate, but it's also selecting through the different building variations. So if you want a particular variation in a particular position, you may have to do some combination of rotating the buildings and pressing the A button to just cycle through the different buildings. So anyway, this is the orientation that I want for this building. It now has the same variation, the same appearance that it did before I started rotating it. And so when you're making these changes, another tool to help you do this quickly, again, I know what the Steam Deck command is. I'm sure there's a PC command. I don't know what it is if you press left on the D-pad, you will cycle through different buildings of the same type in the settlement. So I could go through laborers' residence by laborers' residence through the entire settlement of Vatican City and easily change the appearance and facing of all of the residences. So you can do that with residences. You can also make similar changes with small parks. I have the small park right here. Let me cycle through. There are, I think, 3 different possible small parks. I'm going to take this one and then rotate it. Well, I was going to rotate it. There we go. Rotate it around, so this park now has exits to the road and then to both of the residences that are next to it. And other decorations you can do this with. What other decorations do I have in Vatican City? Furs. Furs are good. I have this fur, which I've placed between the village hall and the market. We can cycle through the variations. There are a couple of different positions for the tree, and it also comes as either a single tree or as a double tree. And so I think what I want to do is change this one to a double tree and then rotate it. Well, the game just crashed. Fortunately, the game crashed after I finished all of my route changes. It crashed while I was exploring the building variations and rotating buildings. I should say that in the first few episodes of this series, I said that Sweet Transit is unstable on the Steam Deck, and it seemed to crash fairly regularly. If you go back and watch those videos, I do experience crashes during those videos. And then at the beginning of one of the videos, I said that I switched from using Steam's default compatibility tool to using Proton 8.0, and that the game seemed to be more stable after doing that. And it has been more stable. It has crashed very infrequently since I switched to Proton 8.0. The one exception that I've noticed is that it can still crash when you're doing a lot of this building rotation and switching between different variations of buildings. And so I'm going to use the footage you've already seen of me making some changes to some buildings. Those changes I've actually lost. Everything has been undone. I'm not going to go back and attempt to do them again right now. I did want to say that the ability to rotate buildings and the ability to choose specific variations of buildings and even the existence of multiple variations of buildings was something that I discovered just recently. And having discovered it, I am finding myself tempted to go back through the entire game and reposition everything so it all looks the way that I like. I expect this would be both time-consuming and potentially tedious for anyone who is watching me doing this. And so I think if I end up doing it in this game, I will probably do it between videos. Some future video, I may start the video by saying, I have gone through and made all of these changes. And if I do end up doing that, I will go on a tour of all of the changes and share them with you. But I don't think it would be a good use of my time to do that on these videos. So the point was, you can change residences, you can change production facilities, you can change the decorations that I've added to the villages. It's all fair game. Speaking of decorations, while I'm here, last episode I talked about the fact that I have the Locomotive Pack DLC. In addition to new locomotives, the DLC also gives you statues of all of the individual locomotives that you can place as decorations in your settlements. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab the ST40, my newest train. I'm going to position you right here, right outside the train station. Let me think about what is the best placement for this sort of aesthetically. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to add roads around the statue so that the workers can come by and check it out. And let me just go ahead and add a few more decorations sort of nearby. Let me add those, and then I'll also add a couple of furs. So it's just a fun thing you can do. All of the locomotives in the game have statues. The statues unlock as the locomotives themselves unlock. There are 2 exceptions. If we come over to the electric trains here, we have the ET20 and the ET30, but not the ET10. And similarly, a train you can potentially unlock in the late game is the BT10 and the BT20. And the BT20 is just not available as a statue. I've looked into this. It looks like this is due to a small error in the game files, and it should be relatively easy to correct. So I've thought about just going in and editing the game files myself. I've also thought about creating a mod, which should be able to fix this. It should make both of those trains available as statues. And that brings me to the subject of mods. Sweet Transit does support mods. If you are new to Sweet Transit at all, my advice is for you to be extremely cautious about using mods. Sweet Transit had its first public release in 2022, at which time it was in early access. It had its official 1.0 release in 2024, April, I think. And then the version that I'm playing, 1.1, came out, I think, in September of 2024. The game has undergone major revisions, especially between the early access versions of the game and the 1.0 version of the game. I'm not aware of major changes between the 1.0 and 1.1 aside from the fact that 1.1 adds electricity to the game. The problem is that many of the mods that have been created for Sweet Transit were created for early access versions of the game. And if you install them in the current version of the game, they can cause things in the game to just not work correctly in subtle ways. Problems like, and I've seen this happen, mods to train stations result in the train stations not being able to unload certain types of cargo. And especially if you're new to the game, especially if you don't have a firm grasp of what all of the systems are in this game, how to make everything work correctly, it can be very difficult to diagnose if something isn't working correctly. Is it that you're doing something wrong, or is it that you are using an out-of-date mod which is causing a problem? So my advice is be extremely cautious about mods. If you want to use mods, check the date of the most recent update. If it's after September or October of 2024, it should be updated to fully support Sweet Transit 1.1. If it is older than that, be cautious. It can break your game. And it can break your game in ways that it doesn't feel like it's breaking your game, but you just can't do certain things that you expect to do. This game has a lot of complicated interacting systems, and getting all of those systems to work together correctly can be a subtle thing. If you don't have a firm grasp of what all the systems are and how they work, it may be hard to tell if something's not working because you're not doing it correctly, or if it's not working because this mod that you've installed is causing problems in the game. So I'm tempted to create this mod. I'm actually tempted to create one or two other mods. I'm thinking about it, but at the same time, I have to advise caution using mods. Alright, so that's my little soapbox rant. Returning to the gameplay, here in Vatican City, we have 750 laborers currently. We don't have any bread yet. Why haven't we gotten bread yet? Once I have bread, the number of laborers in Vatican City will increase. But I was thinking that just to plan ahead, I want to add some more workers to Vatican City anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We will add 3 more here, and 3 more laborers' residences here, and I will add 2 more here. And there we go. That is enough residences here in Vatican City to be able to meet future work demands in Vatican City. Meanwhile, we are complaining not enough work in Madrid. Interesting. I would have thought those numbers are okay. This may be because Madrid has just gotten bread. It had a shortage of bread for a while. Although it's now running low on bread, so maybe not. Let me check my bread delivery. It seems suspicious. Let me come this way. Where is this train? What are you doing? You're carrying 480 to Madrid? Why only 480? If you're at 480, that means it's this way. Manama Station must be relatively low on bread, which means, am I not producing fast enough? All of my bakeries don't have any wheat, even though the small storage is full of wheat. Have I gotten my placement wrong on this? Your potential says 78, but your actual throughput is much lower than that. What's wrong? Speaking of interlocking systems, making sure they all work correctly, something clearly isn't working correctly here, and it's not obvious what it is. You can see workers coming back and forth to get the wheat. Do I need... Let me try putting another small storage right here? Right here? I think I want to put it here, just looking at the overall spacing. And I will need another courier shack here. And first of all, you will stop carrying wheat. Second of all, you will carry wheat from this small storage to this small storage. And then all of these will take as your input this small storage. This is awkward and clumsy, but things are not working, and I need to make them work better. And then once this group of couriers has carried all of the wheat over from the one storage to the other one, then it can start carrying wheat from the station to the small station and see if that helps. Looks like it might, maybe. And I'm also wondering if I should be having all of the bakeries deliver the bread back to this small storage and then use couriers to take it from the small storage to the station. Alright, so you need a much higher rate. You need to be 12? What does 12 give me? 12 gives me lots. Okay, we'll leave you there. And see if we can fix this. I will say that the route changes that I made, I said one of my goals was to be able to diagnose problems faster. And I think it did help in that I saw the train, I saw that it wasn't full, and that told me that there was something wrong with my production. Okay, at this point, this small storage has no wheat, and this small storage has no wheat en route. So I will change this courier shack to deliver from the station to the small storage. Okay, and at this point your rate is 134 per minute, and we want that close to 300. So we will see what 30 gives us. 335, great. So I should now have lots of wheat coming from the station, which had 525, to the small storage, and then all of the wheat going directly from the small storage to each of the bakeries. And we'll see if this is sufficient to keep all of the bakeries adequately supplied with wheat, and whether that means they will be able to deliver the expected amount of bread back to the station. Okay, I'm still a little bit concerned about you. You say you have 40 en route, at least that's something. And your throughput is greater than the 72 per minute that we're consuming, and your throughput may be a little low. I'm gonna hope I have things worked out for now. Alright, so next up is producing steel. So really the first thing I'm doing is I'm building an iron mine, and I will use the iron from the iron mine as well as other inputs at a steel mill to produce steel. And so iron mines are like coal mines and like clay pits. You can only build them where there is a iron deposit already. And so there is a cluster of iron mines right here, or iron deposits at least right here, and then a second cluster over here. This cluster is conveniently close to a large amount of coal, which we will also need. So my plan is to build a station first, and I want the station to be here, I think, with this orientation. There we go. And so now we can add platforms to this small station, and thinking ahead to how many platforms I will need. Let's start with just the 2 for now, and we'll figure it out from there. And let's add some rail. I'm going to deliberately start the rail here, I think, and run it out to there, and do the same thing here. And then the rail leaving the station will come this way, and on this side it will be here. Alright, and then we want rail coming this way. Yeah, I'm happy with the spacing. Come all the way across like that, and we'll add the second line next to the first one. So we can potentially head out in the direction of the other iron deposits in the future. And let me get my station connections correct. I have a little extra rail over here, so take that out. And which way am I doing this? I'm building a bridge across like this, and then I will add this rail and this rail. And on this side, again, remove a bit of rail, and then add this bridge and this rail. And then we need to extend this rail really to there, I think. Right? Yeah, it'll do great. And then we'll extend this rail all the way back. Okay, of course we're coming in at the diagonal. That'll make things more difficult for now. I want to ignore this problem for a while. Can I get away with ignoring it completely? Maybe. I think I'll just make things a little offset. I did not want to remove rails. Alright, let me pause so I can fix what I just did. I was intending to just remove the signal that was there. Let me put you back, and then add you across. And so if we're doing this like this, then do I need to be making... I do need to be making both of these one longer. I'm thinking of this as a temporary solution, but I still have to get it right until then. And then the easier way to do this, I think, will be to remove this signal, and then add rail sort of through and then around. And then you really wanted to go that way. can I do this the other direction more easily? Yes, I think. Send you around. And then, how do I want this to connect? I guess we'll just do that. And we should start adding signals right now. And I removed some signals in here, I think. So we'll put you back, and then... Alright, and then we need to fix both of these. This is all slightly awkward as this happened. No. You need to come over first and then connect. So we have space for this one. Sure. And then you are great. Lots of signals. And then on this side, really on this side, I just want to come from here. We'll just do it like this. We can drop in the signals that we need to keep everything separated and moving. Alright, so that's all the signals we need here. While I'm here, I will also add in electricity towers. And we'll come this way. Sure. And come the next tower on the other side. And just all the way across. And we'll definitely need towers coming across here as well. We will do it like that. And, okay, we were putting signals in. Probably need more. Oh, and I also need another piece of rail. We'll put you in, and then, of course, immediately remove this signal, and probably this signal. So we can add this rail. And on this side, okay, we need to add these signals, and then here. Okay, we are good, and then we need, let's see, we want a chain signal here, here, and here, and then regular signals here, and here, and then like that. We'll put those in. And I'm deliberately making this rail long because having gotten this far, I'm going to be wanting to build straight up larger stations relatively soon, and so I'm trying to plan for that. Alright, so that was everything for the station built out, I think. Which train are you? You are the brick train, and you're complaining you have nowhere to go because my warehouse is full of bricks anyway. So continuing from where we were, what I want to do, if I can, is build 3 independent road networks coming from this small station. And so one of them will connect to both of these right now, and we will add a distribution center. And for now, the distribution center will have no workers. So that is our first road network built out. And this road network is connecting to the iron mines, which is this one. So we'll build 2 of these. This one, which immediately unlocks the steel mill, and we'll give you some storage, and then this one, and again, we will give you some storage. There should be fine. And both of the iron mines will take as their input and their output the station. Okay, so they're partly good. There you go. And because of the distribution center, they will have a production bonus. And so the next road network that I want to build out, we will come off the other side from the iron mine, or from the station. Let's come out to there. And then these are both coal. Pretty sure I saw these were both coal. Yeah. And so this road comes straight this way. And you are connected, and again, you can use a distribution center here. And let's get all the connections right. You, for the moment, will have no workers. And both of these coal mines will have the station as their input and output. And we'll have to look into whether these are actually close enough. I'm not sure what rate they'll be able to deliver coal at. And then we want a third separate road network, which is going to come... This one actually doesn't need to be isolated from this iron mine. We can actually come straight across. And this road is to allow us to place the newly unlocked smelter, which is the central building to produce steel. And do I really want to place you this far away? I think I don't. I think I will accept that I'm giving up some space to build this out so it will be closer to the station. And so the smelter is like the brickworks. Having built out the smelter itself, then I can build a steel mill nearby. We'll put you here and then surround the steel mill with kilns. And if you were clever about it, you can actually get 9 kilns around a single steel mill. And then everything needs to be connected by roads. And then we need to connect, again, everything. Let me do it this way. Do it like that. And so I have a little bit of extra road, which I don't need. And you've automatically selected the iron mine as your input, and you need to select the iron mine station as your output as well. And so now everything's connected. I want to rename you. Guess we're happy calling you Iron Mine Station. Maybe I should change you to Steel Mill Station just to be a little more clear about what the station is doing. Okay, and so now that everything's built out, we need trains. So the steel mill requires iron, coal, and sand. And so I am producing the iron and the coal that I need right here. I need to send sand to the station. So we will find the sand delivery train and we will add a new destination, which is the steel mill. And you are unloading and do the usual bit. If sand is greater than 100, just keep waiting. Otherwise, come and unload the sand at the station. And you should be go to 4. And if it makes a delivery, there should be coal available here to refuel. So I don't think I have to worry about refueling this train. And then the next train route that I need is we need workers at Steel Mill Station. And so the workers for here will come from Nicosia. And let's add you here. Let's change you to swap workers. Let's put you there. So these workers are coming from Nicosia. We will swap workers at the steel mill. It will then go to the clay pit where it will swap workers and then wait. And then as it's returning from the clay pit, it also checks whether it needs fuel. Again, it should be able to pick up fuel from this station as well. And then we need a new route, which we will rename first. This will be steel delivery. Okay, and you are starting from the steel mill and you are loading steel. And we will do the usual bit. You will load for 21 seconds. And then you're going to Madrid Station. And we will duplicate you and make the first one optional so we can check station cargo amounts at Madrid Station. And we need to check specifically for steel. And so we just wait here if the station has steel, and then when it does not, we go and deliver it. And now that we have a route, we need a train. And so this will be the SD30, the coal tender. Steel is carried on flat wagons. That looks right. And you are ready to go. Okay, so we should have workers coming here soon. And once they arrive, they should start producing steel. I need at least one more thing, which is, do the iron mines need electricity? Will you tell me, do the iron mines need electricity? No. But does the smelter need electricity? The smelter itself does not. The steel mills and the kilns both need electricity. So we need to add a substation. We can just put you here. I'm trying to put the substation kind of out of the way. And then bring power across with the low voltage poles. And I don't think that one quite got everything. Okay, and I also dropped 2, which I don't need. Try that again. And it looks like there gets everything. I think I'm okay with this layout. Okay, so at this point we're waiting to get workers at all of these industries. When the workers arrive, they will start producing iron and coal. We're waiting for a train to arrive, which is carrying sand. Once we have all 3, you should start producing steel, which we can then deliver back. We need a few more things. First of all, I have workers now coming here from Nicosia, and the smelter requires both laborers and craftspeople, and that means Nicosia needs to be able to have craftspeople. And so we will upgrade Nicosia into a town, and the number we supposedly need is 60 at the moment. I thought it was. And let me build 6 of these just to have more than enough. Let's do it this way. And then how spread out do I want this to be? We'll assume this is okay. And then add 6 craftsman residences. And of course these need electricity. So we will add a substation. Am I okay with connecting the substation here? Probably. And then some low voltage power poles. There we go. And we also need some water towers. And we're going to be producing steel soon, but we can't produce it yet. So let me extend this road out a little further. Yeah. And then put water towers here and here. Okay, so now you have water. People should be moving in. We should have workers waiting at the station. Indeed we do. So it may take a little while for those workers to get there. We can now keep working. I'm concerned about my wood level. What's happening? Okay, so my potential is a little higher than my upkeep consumption, but the amount that I'm actually producing is way below that. So I'm not sure if that means there's actually a problem or if that's just a case of this train's just going. I think things will be fine. These are all, well, 3 of them are backed up on wood, but with the support they have, close to good. Yeah, let me increase the number of workers we have here just to help out a little bit. I'll just increase you to 15. See what that does for our support levels. Alright, so now we will be producing steel as soon as we get all of the workers to the steel mill and to the surrounding industries. The steel will be delivered to Madrid Station. We need to add... which couriers do I want? This one. You now need to be able to carry steel as well. And we'll just skip ahead. We'll just make you 50. So that means once the steel arrives at the station, couriers can bring it to the warehouse, which is where it needs to be in order for me to use the steel to build other things. Problem is, the warehouse doesn't currently have any storage capacity for steel. You can see all the other things it does have storage capacity for. It's just wood, cut stone, bricks, sand, and coal. So we need to add to the warehouse the newly unlocked medium storage, which in addition to having lots of additional storage for wood, cut stone, bricks, and sand, also includes storage for 4 new things: steel, cement, rebars, and diesel. So where should I put these and how many should I build out? I'm going to put them on, well, I'm going to put 2 here and then I'm going to put 1 here. Oh, as soon as I have enough cut stone, I will put 1 there. I have enough cut stone right now to add in that bit of road, and we'll add in some road over here as well. Let's add in a little more than we actually need at this moment, because each medium storage holds 480 steel, so I'd like to increase the capacity a little bit. So I'd really like to have 3 of them, but I really needed to have more capacity for cut stone to begin with in order to build this out immediately. So are you still saying the same stuff? You are. I'm more concerned about what's happening here. Alright, I've just unlocked the tool shop and the steel bridge. That means I'm producing some amount of steel. Yeah, you have some workers already, and so you're producing some stuff. And so if we come over to the unlock list, well, that is what we just did. This is the cattle ranch, which is sort of next on our list. We did build the iron mine, and so that is done as well. And so now we're here. We've unlocked the tool shop and steel bridge. So I said I've been waiting to produce steel to unlock the steel bridge so I can redesign some of my stations. I'm actually going to want to wait a little bit more than that. Currently producing 27 steel per minute. Let me go ahead and bring this up. So we're now on this branch of the progression tree. We had a population of 3,000 laborers, so we're able to build an iron mine. Because we built the iron mine, we're able to build the smelter and then also the medium storage for the warehouse. And then because we have produced 100 steel total, we have unlocked the tool shop and steel bridge. The next thing in this direction is the passenger station. Once we produce 120 steel per minute, we'll be able to unlock the passenger station. And that allows us to build stations that are longer, that have more platforms than the small station has. So I would really like to be able to unlock that. So that's kind of my next goal. Right now, from what I've built out, our limit is 108 per minute, and I might be happy with that. I might want to produce more. Of course, we're not close to producing that yet because we haven't gotten all of our workers. But because we are now producing steel, we've unlocked the tools shop, which is another production building which belongs in a settlement. So the next thing that I want to do is start producing tools at a tools shop. And the place where I was thinking of doing it was here. There's just this square of land that's over here, and it's nearby the steel mill. And so if I put a town in here, it will be convenient for producing tools. Let me check. It only will actually make sense if I can build out a rail that's long enough. And so it'll be starting there, put it here, and then draw it out. And how long can we get? We can only get to 35, and then we run out of space. And all right, can I build out a long enough rail in this direction? And if I build this right, well, okay, you're not really long enough anyway unless I remove some of this mountainous terrain or if I do some landfill in the water. Okay, so I think I liked that idea. think I can't make it work. So if I'm not going to put the new town there, can I put it here? And stuff is just in the way. Let's see, we would want it to start there, basically. You're actually straight, right? Okay, you're actually long enough. 39 looks like that. All right, I want you on the other side. I want it to be, I'll give myself a little bit of clearance. Maybe there. All right, and so we will build right here, for now, a small station. And you're fine. And let me go ahead and build up a large small station, just to have it all. And then let me put in the bridges, and then the rest of the rail coming all the way through. And then, how do I want this rail connecting to the existing tracks? I want rail coming this way. Go ahead and connect all of these right now. And then I can build steel bridges at this point. I should take advantage of that fact. So yeah, we'll just come straight across like this to here. And trains will come in from over here and then leave in this direction. So I need this connection. And so when a train is leaving from here and is heading back towards everything else, we need a bridge. And we will use a steel bridge to come across, because steel bridge, if I get my spacing correct, which apparently I have not. Oh, I can do it. I just don't have enough steel for it yet. I am producing steel, but slowly. So that will take care of itself. Let me add in this rail here. And then coming in, well, the easy one is, again, remove this signal here. Just come this way. Okay, you really do just come straight to the middle. It was not on purpose, but we can do this like this, I guess. Don't know if a totally symmetric design like that is the smartest way to do this, but usual sorted chain signals and then regular signals. And so the point was, these need to be here for the platforms to be good. And then we can do all of this, and we need those, and we should really have this so that trains will have as little wait time as possible once they arrive. And then we need rail coming in the other direction as well. And building out more rail is going to require steel, and we've just gotten a little more steel. The one that I really need is this one. So I can now build in the steel bridge. And this steel bridge is going over diagonal rail, which is one of the advantages of steel bridges over stone bridges. Stone bridges can only go over rail, which is sort of in the direction of the grid. Diagonally on the screen is the same direction as the grid. Straight up and down or straight left and right on the screen is diagonally on the grid. Stone bridges can only cross rail, which is in the direction of the grid, but steel bridges can cross rail, which is diagonal relative to the grid. So that's one of the advantages of using steel bridges. And then from here, how do I want to do this? This is slightly messy both ways. I need to be able to put in the other bridge first to get my spacing right. Okay, so that bridge is going to be there. So this rail can be here. Pretty sure I'm counting this out correctly. And then, okay, that looks right. I still need one more steel bridge, which I can build now, I think, if I can find a place to do it. And I was thinking like that. And then, yeah. Let me do it like that, and then that. And put in the rest of the signals. Okay, so now you are fully signaled out. We will also need power. So we will come this way, I think. We actually can just come straight over the mountains. So we'll come all the way across and then come down this way and then back out. And it doesn't look like we've quite electrified the entire station. Actually, I'm not sure. Come close. I think the outermost rail does not have electricity, so we will add you across just to be certain about things. All right, and then the whole point of this giant new station is I'm going to now build a town right here. I might as well put you pretty much right next to the station. And the name of this town is Belfast. So you are now connected. I'm surprised that you didn't just take the name immediately. So we will change your name to Belfast Station. And the big reason why we are building this is so that we can build in this stone road. And then over here, need to have the town selected. We can just skip straight forward to building tool shops, except that I actually need more steel. So as soon as I have the steel I need, I will build that out. Alright, things are awkward, but we will make it work. build out a bunch of road here. Okay, really, this road wants to be here. How committed am I to having this electrical tower right here? I think I would rather move it, which means I need to make sure that I restore that connection. So let's see if I put you here and there. Guess. I don't love this, but we will try to make it work. Keep thinking about how I'm doing things. I do want this road here. I don't want this road here. Instead, I will put in road here. I guess I really do need to have you connect like this. And then extend this road back this direction a ways. And been thinking about my spacing. I think I want to do this like this, just to try something different. Okay, I need to have that road on the outside, I'm sure. And then on this side, try doing things like that. All right, and so then we can start adding other buildings to Belfast. We need storage. I'm just gonna put you right here. And we need a market, which can go here. Yeah, that orientation. And we will go ahead and add the House of Worship across the street there. And so your input will be this small storage. And so we will add a courier station over here. And your input will be the station and your output will be the small storage. And all right, let's build out the other basic stuff that goes in a new town, which is we need housing. We're going to need a bunch of laborers' residences. We'll just start with those. And we will need at least some craftspeople residences. So let me put that one there. Let me actually double check. No, I'm wrong. The whole point here is that I'm building a tools shop, and a tools shop just needs laborers. So I think I don't actually need a craftspeople residence at this time. And then we need some water towers. Actually, I take that back. We will use the craftspeople water tower because it has a larger range, which means I now do need a craftspeople residence. And at this point, I think I can build the tools shop. We will put you here. We'll put you here. And your inputs will be the small storage and your outputs will be the station. Okay, so some workers have moved in and you need electrical power. That's why you're not happy. Does the tool shop need electrical power? Yes. So we'll add a... we want to put you here. I'm trying to decide on the spacing for all this stuff, which makes sense. I don't think I'm getting it right necessarily. And then we can do that and we'll do this and this. So you now have power, so now craftspeople should be willing to move in, and as soon as enough people move in, we should have water, and then we already do have enough workers apparently for both the market and the House of Worship. Yep, there we go. We just got water everywhere. And then we need to add this to all of our train routes. Alright, so we'll put you first and move you all the way up, and that means we need a optional to see if you need red, and if you have red you can go to 4, and then you just unload, and then if you have done that we will add the check, which is if the train's bread level. For empty cargo amount, so we can check for cargo at 25%, then we go to 1, except that we almost certainly want to be refueling instead, and our refueling check is 13. And I feel like I'm adding these out of order, so I feel safer if I pause the game first. And then, where do I want to put this? So the thing is, I'm doing a fuel check if I go to Madrid. I think the order to do things in is put you... I'm sorry, do a fuel check if I go to Manama. I think the order to put things in is to go to Belfast first. And this is clothing, and this is an optional. Station cargo, and then you are going to 4. And then if you do unload, we will do this optional. No, what I want to do is right now check my fuel level. If your fuel is low, then you immediately go to 8 to refuel. And then if your cargo level is less than 25, then you're allowed to go to 1. Yeah, so you load at Nicosia Station. If Belfast needs clothing, you go to Belfast Station and deliver. You then check for fuel. And if you need to refuel, you immediately skip ahead to the refueling step. Otherwise, if you've made a delivery and you do need new cargo, then you go back and pick up cargo. If you don't need fuel, and then you do need cargo, you go back and pick up new cargo. Otherwise, you check whether to go to Manama instead. And so it's possible that if the train needs fuel but is also carrying extra cargo somehow, it will skip the Manama station step because it'll just go straight to refueling instead. And I think I'm okay with that. I think that makes sense. So that was clothing, and then fish. I think I can add you at the bottom, or almost at the bottom. You will go there. And so now you do need to have a fuel check. Need to swap the direction of that, so then you can go to 12. No, you're not doing a fuel check, you're just doing a cargo check. And then you go to 12. And then last one, this is fish. So it always refuels at coal mine station. That's fine. And it's now go to 13. And I think everything else is updated correctly. Wait, this should be go to 11. Yeah, that has the right rhythm. And so the last one is potatoes. Almost the last one is potatoes. Last one for making sure the market is supplied. And then we will put you after Manama. So you are go to 11, right? Seems like most of these end up going to the right places, but sometimes they do not. And then once we've delivered, we check our cargo level. And if you were low, then you just do the fuel check, which is 16. Alright, and that looks correct. And then I think I have Belfast mostly set up. It should be getting deliveries of all of the market goods soon. I'm not actually using it yet. I need to actually be sending steel to the tool shop, and then it'll be producing tools, and what I do with tools is a whole other thing. And I'm suddenly realizing I think I need to stop here at this point. Because of the length of this episode, I should stop here, and I will actually start using the tool shop next time. So, it feels a little unsatisfying to me, but I don't want to take the additional time to do things at this point. So I will just stop here. So this is where I say, like, comment, and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I see you again in the future. Thanks, everyone.